Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 1170. Ritual. Backlund, North Borough. Leonard, who had just arranged a mission for his team, saw the boundless gray fog and heard Mr. Fool's response. He let out a long sigh of relief and said in a low voice, "Seems like there are no more problems." Since Mr. Fool was able to provide feedback, as per normal, and convene the tarot gathering, it meant that he had already won the battle against Amon. This way, Klein was likely able to escape from his predicament. In Leonard's mind, Pallas Zorost's slightly aged voice scoffed. "Don't count your chickens until they've hatched. After you enter Sapphira Castle, observe if the fool is wearing a monocle on his right eye." Are you saying that the present fool might be Amon in disguise?" Leonard's eyelids twitched as he hurriedly asked. Pallas sighed and said, "You can't eliminate this possibility. Amon can really do such a thing. I will take note." Leonard's relaxed state of mind instantly tensed up again. On the future, in the Sonia Sea. Mr. Fool actually responded after so much time. "Does this mean that the world Gehrman Sparrow's disappearance had something to do with his plan? I can't be sure. Perhaps Mr. Fool's lack of response during this period of time was to save Gehrman Sparrow. And now, he has succeeded. He didn't directly mention this matter. He is planning to let the world tell the story at the tarot gathering? After hearing Mr. Fool's voice, many thoughts instantly flashed across Katla's mind. From Queen Mystic's letter, she suspected that George III's death was due to Mr. Fool's interference. The disappearance of the world Gehrman Sparrow was also an extension of this matter. Katla's first reaction was to write to Queen Mystic Bernadette and tell her that Gehrman Sparrow has been found. However, after some thought, she suppressed her urge, and she prepared to participate in the afternoon's gathering. She wanted to know the details and figure out what she could and couldn't say before sending Queen Mystic feedback. Regardless, it seems like the matter has been resolved. The Admiral of Stars exhaled and sat by the window in peace as she took in the blue sky. In the periphery of a primitive forest on Sonia Island, Alger Wilson stood on a thin tree branch, looking at the port and the blue skies not far away. The strong winds around him swirled without dispersing as they affected the trees nearby. As the illusory grayish-white fog appeared, Alger was first delighted before he felt a little terrified. Mr. Fool only responded after quite some time. This means that his previous state was indeed a little abnormal. However, he has already recovered. He didn't respond to my lone request regarding the sun's unshadowed crucifix. He discovered my test and discovered a hint of my hidden thoughts. I can't do such things again in the future. Mr. Fool has only issued a simple warning this time. He might punish me directly next time. Thou shalt not test God. Thou shalt not test God. As his thoughts raced, Alger lowered his head and piously said, "Thank you for your kindness and forgiveness." Backlund, inside the Hall family's luxurious villa. Mr. Fool didn't pass on my question to Mr. World. Is this because the tarot gathering will proceed as normal in the afternoon, and there will be time for us to communicate? Audrey realized certain problems from the delay in the response. Generally speaking, Mr. Fool's reply is very timely. It was more than 15 minutes this time. He was handling other matters, very important matters. Is it related to George III's death? Regardless, a 15-minute delay wasn't too serious a problem. Audrey quickly retracted her thoughts and felt much better. I'll know the truth from Mr. World later. I hope that this incident won't have any more serious consequences, other than a full-scale war. At the moment, war is already unavoidable. North Borough in Backlund. Beneath St. Samuel Cathedral. Mr. Fool didn't say that he would help me. Emlyn White held a cup of red liquid and frowned slightly. He then interpreted the symbolic meaning of the response from another angle. Mr. Fool specifically emphasized that the tarot gathering will proceed as normal in the afternoon. He wants to tell me that the opportunity to escape from the predicament lies with a member? Could it be the star? In short, I should be able to leave this week. Emlyn had been taken into protective custody and kept behind St. Samuel Church's Chinese gate, so no matter what happened in the outskirts of Backlund, it was unlikely for it to affect him. Furthermore, it was impossible for him to suddenly escape from prison and head to places like the Blood Emperor ruins. Therefore, when Klein hinted to the other members last week, he hadn't been involved in the Berg household in the City of Silver. Upon hearing Mr. Fool's response, Derek jumped up from bed. The excitement from his face was overflowing. Mr. Fool hasn't disappeared. Mr. Fool hasn't forsaken the City of Silver like the Creator did. He paced back and forth a few times, feeling the urge to immediately rush out of the room and head to the Twin Towers where he could tell the chief the good news. However, having had more than a year to mature, those experiences had left a clear mark on him. Finally, he calmed down and decided to attend the tarot gathering and obtain the promise of receiving the blessings before he sought the chief again. Perhaps the lack of response during this period of time was a test of me, the chief, and the City of Silver, one set by Mr. Fool. He wanted to see if we would rapidly lean towards the fallen Creator. It was unknown when Derek's thought processes had a hint of the hangman's colorful thoughts. Of course, he didn't have any other thoughts because of this. From what he knew, it was very normal for deities to test their believers. Back then, the Creator had left behind many similar legends. Despite being done with his contemplation, Derek still couldn't sit still, and he continued pacing back and forth in his room. He had never felt such anticipation towards the tarot gathering in the afternoon. In the City of Silver, in the forsaken land of the gods, the afternoon was a relatively abstract concept. As there weren't enough labels to confirm the time, they could only use the frequency of the lightning to define day and night, without going into any finer details. Backlund East Borough, inside a 2-bedroom rental apartment. Ha! After receiving Mr. Fool's response, Furs couldn't help but laugh out loud. As a best-selling author, she had a rich imagination. Before Mr. Fool responded, she had already come up with one terrifying story after another. Mr. Fool had exchanged his death for George III's failure. Mr. Fool's ploy was discovered by the deities and was besieged. Mr. Fool's old injuries relapsed, and he fell into a deep sleep. Without his blessings, the world Gehrman Sparrow was being pursued by his enemies. These stories didn't develop in the same way, but the end was very similar. Furs would once again succumb to the full moon's ravings, eventually losing control and becoming a monster. Phew! Furs exhaled and said to Zio with a beaming smile, "I just realized today that Mr. Fool is the most important man in my heart." Him. More importantly, you have to become a demigod as soon as possible and completely escape the curse of the full moon, Zio replied seriously. After joining the tarot club, she had learned of her friend's true situation. Yeah. Furs nodded and said with a smile, "In short, I need to drink a glass of wine to celebrate." Above the gray fog, inside Sapphira Castle. After calming down, Klein used cogitation to restore his spirit-body state. When I first learned cogitation, I was required to imagine something that doesn't exist in this world so as to replace what's on my mind. That way, I can truly enter cogitation. At that time, my first reaction was to outline an intercontinental missile from Earth. But I didn't succeed. I didn't think too much about it back then. Now, in hindsight, this might have already spelled certain problems. It's not something that doesn't exist in the world, but one that has been snuffed out in the fog of history. Klein rubbed his temples and naturally recalled a matter of the past. He immediately focused his mind and planned on obtaining the Miracle Invoker Potion formula before the Tarot Club. At that moment, Amon was patiently guarding the spot where he had died. He could only stay in Sapphira Castle, so there was nothing else he could do. After some consideration, he grasped towards the exterior of the ancient palace and pulled an item from the gray fog's historical void. It was a black notebook bound with a hardpaper cover. The Antigonus family's notebook. Sure enough. It's not a manifestation of the uniqueness. It's just that there are some powers left behind by the half-fool of the Antigonus family. Klein sighed and threw the notebook onto the long bronze table in front of him. This was because the content of the notebook might be problematic. He didn't intend to decipher the formula of the Sequence 2 miracle invoker through it. He was only using it as a medium for divination. Following that, Klein conjured a pen and paper and wrote a divination statement. The original owner of this notebook. Putting down the pen, he picked up the paper and notebook, leaned back in his chair, and repeated the words he had just written. After repeating it 7 times, he entered a hazy dream. He saw a mountain peak that reached into the clouds. At the top of the mountain, there was a dilapidated towering palace that was separated from reality. In the palace, there were many places covered with moss and weeds. At the very end of the hall was a huge stone chair. Its surface was inlaid with dull gemstones and gold. In the middle, countless transparent maggots were huddled into a cluster as they slowly squirmed and grew, extending out like slippery tentacles covered in patterns. Unlike before, this time, Klein saw the monster, directly and clearly saw his actual appearance. The palace above the gray fog suddenly began to shake violently, and Klein's figure was hoisted up in midair. In the next second, his spirit body collapsed into numerous squirming worms of spirit that crawled all over the ground. Sapphira Castle immediately quaked, and everything returned to its original state. Klein's spirit body took form once again. He sat at the fool's seat and rubbed his temples before saying with a wry smile, "It really is the half-fool with the uniqueness." After he muttered to himself, Klein did a slight recollection before picking up the pen and began to write down the knowledge he had obtained from prying into the secrets of the mythical creature. Sequence 2, Miracle Invoker. Main ingredients: 1 heart of the dark demonic wolf, god of wishes, or the beyonder characteristic of another miracle invoker. Supplementary ingredients: 300 milliliters of dark demonic wolf's blood, 1 worm of time, 1 worm of star. Advancement ritual: return a piece of history that has been left behind to the present era.